What's the most memorable comeback you've heard in your life? Was standing behind these two older adults and this teen girl at the gas station last year. She was on her phone and the guy snapped at her for not knowing how to live without technology, and without looking up she went, "Don't you have a pacemaker?" My friend got pantsed, underwear and all at a party. Instead of pulling his underwear and pants up immediately, he just kept going about his business while hanging dong. Those of us that knew him already thought it was hilarious. The people at the party that didn't know him looked really uncomfortable due to this dude having his pants and underwear around his ankles, with his wiener hanging freely. Our friend the host said, "Dude, why don't you pull your pants up?" Pants guy said, "I didn't pull them down." Then took his turn in beer pong. The host then found the guy that did pull them down and made him pull our friend's pants back up. Damn. This is high risk high reward on your social status, and I respect your friend for that. My son and his newlywed wife were poor college students living out of state. When I went to visit them, I took them to the grocery store and let them fill up a couple of grocery carts that I paid for. As we were leaving the store I said, "Now, when your kids are poor married college students trying to get by, don't forget this." My new daughter-in-law piped up and said, "Oh, we won't forget. We're going to tell them to go get grandpa." HAA ha ha, I love that gal. I asked my mum out of curiosity what she would do if she found a used condom in my brother's room. Her response: "I would remind him that you can't get HIV from your own hand." For context, I live in South Africa where HIV is very common. Someone yelled out in a Walmart, "I'm not ashamed of who I am." Another voice echoed back, "That's your parents' job." A guy told a female co-worker she was so ugly that the only thing she could turn on was a hose. Without missing a beat, she replied that at least when she turned something on it got wet. The guy was speechless, and I laughed till I had tears. At the Scottish Games, dude asked a performer in a kilt, "What do you wear under that skirt?" The guy did not skip a beat and said, "Your mother's lipstick." I effing laughed and so did the guy's buddies. He was so shook. Definitely not the first time he's been asked. Mom and dad were arguing. "Mom, kiss my A. Dad, mark your spot. You're all A." I worked with an older gentleman who was from Chicago. He had a story or an opinion on everything and he was very proud of his smack talking talents. The entire department was walking after beating, and as it was summer and many of us were wearing shorts, somehow the topic shifted to the lack of hair on somebody's legs. Mr. Smack Talker spouted out the comment that hair don't grow on dead things. All I had to do was look at his head and arch an eyebrow. He had let the fact that he was quite bald escape his memory. Young pregnant co-worker had a stranger stare disapproving at her in a restaurant, then walk up and say, "Pregnancy isn't very becoming on you." She replied, "Well, being a nosy rude bee isn't becoming on you, but here we are." I don't care if it's self-congratulatory, I'm proud of this one. Having dinner with my dad and older sister. I got straight A's in school or something, and she's doing the older sibling thing. "Sister, you may have gotten the book smarts in this family, but I got the street smarts." Me. "The corner doesn't count." Dad chokes whilst laughing. When I was working at a bartender one Halloween, I came dressed as an old western style bartender, complete with mustache and accent. We had the evening split up into a little costume party for kids and families in the earlier hours, and then an adult only costume pass up later on. One of the regulars laughed at my costume and said I looked stupid, so I told him, "You should probably come back after the kids have gone because you've come dressed as a C." He didn't talk to me for weeks after that. It was blissful. I was working on a railroad signal crew. We were behind on a project and were told that we'd have to work Saturday on an upcoming 3-day weekend. About noon that Friday, the foreman tells us that we've caught up enough that we can go now and enjoy our holiday weekend. One member of my crew was this huge angry Viking of a man. Think 6 feet 5 inches, 400 pounds. He shouted, "Yeah, I'm going to go home and surprise my girlfriend with a big dick." With absolute horror, I heard my own voice say, "That would be a surprise, since you left home this morning with the little one." Fortunately, he thought it was hilarious because he was between me and the door. In a book, a king is about to break a promise, and when he gets called out, says, "Are you questioning my honor?" And the guy responds, "No, I was counting on it." Picked my niece up from school once and teacher had sent a note home that another girl called my niece's shoes ugly and she slapped back with "shut up you sketches wearing AB," and I still think about that a lot. She was maybe 7 then. I need to somehow channel her energy. Does she have siblings or young parents? That's a kid that's schooled in how and where to use the word "be" after creating your own trash talk adjectives. Those are the ones you don't wanna mess with. Instant roast. I used to work with a very conservative, very angry older man who would get triggered if you did not agree with him. Like red face angry. He would always equate my age to being less intelligent than him. I forget what we were talking about, but he went on about how he was wiser given his age. I simply said, if you are so smart then why the hell are we both doing the same job? He did not have an answer for me, and then I felt bad afterwards for having said it. My boyfriend was in the grocery store. Our twin daughters were in the shopping cart, maybe 5 years old. Twins get you a lot of attention from random strangers, especially when they're little. And it's a pain in the A for everyone, including the kids. They don't always want the attention. Some random lady had stopped and was chatting with the girls. One of the girls is very much a people person, and was happy to chat, but her sister wasn't up for that. So she wasn't really participating. This lady got ticked about that and told our introvert kid, "Your sister is so much prettier than you are." Without missing a beat, my tiny little badass looked that bee dead in the eyes and said, "And you're so much fatter than my sister is, too." My boyfriend managed to get the cart onto the next aisle before laughing his A off. Bully, you're a piece of kid that was get bullied, and you're the rest of it. P.es. No one really liked this kid, but after this he got mad respect. This might be too good to be true, but a guy told me he was in line at Safeway and the guy in front of him was on the phone with his son next to him. Another person said, "You should be talking to your son. It's Father's Day." Without missing a beat he said, "Gotta go dad," and hung up. Boss had just fired an insufferable a-hole who was disliked by basically everyone despite his fantastic work ethic on a Friday. The following Monday he comes in to give a little pep talk to the department about how he'll hire a replacement ASAP. At one point he drops something like, "And that gym guy is such an a-hole, I almost feel sorry for him." Who would ever hire a guy like that? Without hesitation the new kid who was working there maybe a week at the time drops, "Well, you did." I nearly pissed myself laughing. This was probably copied from somewhere, but in grade 8 I was changing in a locker room and two classmates were having an argument roasting each other, and one of them says the other is broke and sucks dick for a living. So immediately the other turns around and yells, "I suck dick for a living? You suck dick for free." No idea why I remembered it, considering it was years and years ago, other than it was bloody hilarious in the moment. Worked in a preschool years ago. Had this one kid who could be a real booger sometimes, giving the other kids thumbs down, saying he didn't like them. Absolutely devastating to the other kids. I was constantly hearing misspells. Isaac said he didn't like me. Then Isaac made a fatal mistake. He tried it on a 3-year-old girl. "Isaac, I don't like you." 3-year-old. "Well, my mommy likes me." Shut him right up. It was absolutely gorgeous and a little vicarious victory. The 3-year-old was super sassy. Maybe not as snappy as the other responses here, but I still chuckle at it to this day. At least I don't have an abandoned child in South America during an argument between some hippies dudes. That one hippie said "F peace and love" and chose violence that day. This one came from me. I was 7 months pregnant and huge. While heading to my car some random dude stopped me and rubbed my stomach while asking when I was due. I rubbed his stomach and asked him when he was due. My own. A much shorter co-worker walked up to the desk with 2 cute women, one on each arm, smiling at me, and said, "Jealous?" I replied, "No, I never wanted to be short." His face dropped, and the girls snickered. Saw this one on a medical sub a while back. This woman has just given birth and tore a bit, and the father was in the delivery room while the nurse stitched her up. The father jokingly said, "Be sure and stitch her up nice and tight for me down there in lol." Without missing a beat the nurse said, "Just how small do you need it to be, sir?" She was a legend on the floor for that lol. My 3-year-old niece came over with her dad, and, as little kids do, just randomly interrupted our adult conversation to say emphatically, "I'm 3, me." Wow, sweetie, how did you get so old? Niece, gently but matter-of-factly correcting me like I am a simpleton who needs help. Actually, I'm kind of new. It's been months and I laugh every time I think of this story. We were having a debate about something during history class in high school. Kid who had a reputation for being a jerk told this girl who had a reputation for sleeping around to shut her mouth. She retorted, "At least people like when I open my mouth." Entire class lost their shit, including the teacher. I am a lawyer. There was a small protest over a recent decision outside the courthouse. A non-local but very experienced and senior prosecutor was in town for a matter and had to pass the demonstrators. One of the demonstrators yelled at him as he was walking, "I bet you suck cock." This legend yelled back, "Lucky guess. If I ever get half as good as he was, I will be fulfilled."